A piece of the ISS fell on a home in Florida.
So my mother was showing me that she opened a banana that she thinks that these are not real bananas. And when it pulls, it's like it's glue.
Who's winning in this economy right now?
The rich. Guys like that.
They are going to have a lander on the far side of the moon, which is the side that's always in dark. We're not planning to go there.
Yes, sir. My trigger. Back up in this thing, man. Today, we'll be taking a look at some creepy videos that have the internet spiraling. Let's get it.
This is Boston Dynamics' new Atlas robot. Just one day after Boston Dynamics said it was retiring its hydraulic humanoid robot, it announced the launch of a new all-electric version, and the video it shared kind of looks like something out of a horror movie. Just take a look at this. They also said that it comes with new AI and machine learning tools to help it adapt to real-life scenarios. Besides a refreshed design, Boston Dynamics says Atlas will be stronger and have a broader range of motion.
Humans can't compete with that range of motion right there. That looked like a T-1000 from Terminator.
Who's winning in this economy right now?
The rich. Guys like me. You know, we have gone from having 93 billion, top 400, in 1982 to having 2.4 trillion, 25 for one. It becomes a more and more specialized market economy. It was an agrarian economy a couple of hundred years ago. Very hard, you know, to get 20 times the wealth of the next guy because you were a little bit better farmer. But if you're better at some skills now, you can become incredibly wealthy at a very young age, not because you earned the money to build one steel mill and then saved it to buy another steel mill and so on. You get the capitalized value of an idea. And so the wealth moves big time, even on an anticipatory basis.
For the top 400 richest people in the world to go from having 93 billion in 1982 to 2.4 trillion today just seems unfair, but at least Warren Buffett kept it real because Bill Gates would never.
So my mother was showing me that she opened a banana that she thinks that these are not real bananas. We got it from the supermarket, but when she opens it, and she breaks it in half, it gets very tough and doesn't really break. And when it pulls, it's like it's glue. It's very tight and doughy. I've never ever seen a banana like that. I don't know if it's just our banana or if it's this brand from Costco. But at the end of the day, it looks very, very fake and Play-Doh-y. Does anyone else know what happened?
I don't know what could be causing these bananas to have this sponge-like texture, but it looks like the same material they make Tempur-Pedic mattresses from. These don't look edible or digestible.
A piece of the ISS fell on a home in Florida. Basically, NASA takes the trash from the International Space Station and throws it at the Earth's atmosphere on purpose. And when they do this, the entire thing burns up upon re-entry. It's just so hot, it's incinerated. So in 2021, they did this with 5,800 pounds worth of stuff, expecting it to finally enter Earth's atmosphere last month, which it did. And it burned up, except for about a 6-inch chunk that didn't. This chunk landed on and through a home in Florida with people in it. There's a hole through the ceiling and the floor and the basement. Thankfully, nobody was injured, but I do think this is going to start happening more often with the amount of space junk that's orbiting Earth and no real plan to clean it up. I mean, this pallet was orbiting for 3 years. And they are crashing the entire ISS into the ocean in a few years, which seems crazy, but it is actually the safest option to dispose of an almost million-pound object in space. And before you ask, the answer is no, we can't throw it at the sun.
This is proof that sending space junk back towards Earth to dispose of it might not be the best idea, but if a piece of the ISS comes flying through my living room, then they're gonna have to add me to that list of 400 richest people because I'm getting paid.
I can't, wait, I don't understand, what are you talking about?
So I will either give you a bank draft, or if you're going to get cash, I will need an invoice for the car purchase.
Why? No, I'd like to, the car's payments for in cash. I can't use a bank draft.
Are you buying from like a private?
Yeah, it's private.
person?
It's literally from my friend.
From your friend?
Yeah, but he wants it in cash.
Can he give you like anything that you're purchasing from him?
No, you don't need that. Bro, what is it? I'm only asking for 3. What is this? It's my money. I'm allowed to withdraw from my own bank account.
Yeah, so I can.
You said what's the maximum limit you can give a withdrawal to a customer? It's $3,000 on the date. You've already mentioned that multiple times.
Yeah, not today.
Why not today?
Today I would need a bank draft or I would get an invoice.
But why you don't? So you need proof of what it is. Why is that? And why is that? Why is that? Why do you need me to tell you what it is? Why do you need? What kind of proof is that? I bring in a note. Like what? How is that? What is that going to change? I don't understand.
So that would
You need to give me my money.
buying.
I'm not taking a bank draft. I would like cash, please.
Yeah, I won't be able to give you cash today.
Yeah, wait. I'm just going to sit here until you give me cash. So I'm not going to leave.
Okay, if you want, you can have a sit there.
And then do what? Who am I waiting for?
I can get the manager to talk to you.
Well, yeah, get the manager because this is it's unbelievable.
You should never have to do a full interview just to withdraw a little bit of your own cash. I would end my relationship with this bank right then and there.
Australia are creating man-made clouds to cool the ocean.
Yeah.
Take a look.
There's 2 whole shipping containers with big air compressors in them to generate the compressed air to blast the plume. And so what we see is that the plume actually gets sucked right up into the clouds. Oh, wow. We don't have. Well, that's good, right? Yeah, it's terrific. It makes life a lot easier. And in fact, it means we're able to revise a lot of our sort of calculations as to how many stations we need and how efficient it would be. Per second, one of those machines, we've got 2 now, but for one, it produces about 1,000 billion droplets a second from about a shot glass of water a second, 30 mils. Okay. You're smiling. I mean, is he just making stories?
This is the stuff of science fiction.
I'm all for helping to save the environment as long as this doesn't become another Dubai situation, or else the kangaroos gonna have to learn how to swim.
And we're trying to get at what's the Chinese are doing, you think, on the backside of the moon. Do you have any insights in that?
They are going to have a lander on the far side of the moon, which is the side that's always in dark. We're not planning to go there.
And why not? And what's the benefit of doing so?
We don't know what's on the backside of the moon, so that would be something that they would discover. But our decision is that it's more profitable for us to go to the South Pole of the moon because we think that's where the water is.
Why do you think they made that decision? I'm curious.
I have no idea.
So you telling me that we sent 2 probes to Mars but don't know what's on the far side of our own moon? I have a sneaky suspicion that we know exactly what's there, but just want China to be surprised when they see it.
Chase, Marshall, I need you. Please get to the tower as soon as possible.
Alpha 3, drive me, please. I'm Robert. 22 Alpha 2 on feed, 22 Alpha 2.
Mom, I don't like this.
2 Alpha 1, Officer Sean Alpha 2 is calling after.
I don't like this.
Sorry about that. 22 Alpha 2, I haven't heard from them yet. Just start Sean after now.
Go ahead. Okay, this is the creepiest thing. We have this toy PAW Patrol walkie-talkie set, and this one has been going off in the back seat. Hello. Literally, do these things pick up signals? Because all of a sudden it's like, it's 3:30, babe. It finally stopped raining. You can come home now. I'm like, hello? Who is this? Hello. Now it's not doing anything, but I'm losing my mind. Like, do they just pick up signals? I thought it was Mitch. I called him. His phone's off. He's away. I was like, is Hudson messing with me? No, he's at spring camp. Kate, do these things just pick up random signals? Because it was literally talking to me. And I know I probably sound insane right now, but of course it's not going to do it now. I will record it when it does. This is me actually finally... Oh, listen.
The PAW Patrol walkie-talkie's about to have kids out here on real patrol. That sounds like a police scanner.
If you've ever wanted proof that we're living in the future, look no further than this article on Reuters, which states the first law protecting consumers' brainwaves has been signed by the Colorado governor. And you're going to say, wait, what? Protecting consumers' brainwaves? Are we talking about, literal tinfoil hats here to keep the government out? No, rather what we're talking about is data harvesting. As consumer products increasingly are able to harvest neurological data either through your eyes, through your biometrics and smartwatches, by things you put on your head, a headset, or just some kind of interesting brain retraining things that you do at home, Elon Musk, Neuralink, etc., The governor of Colorado has decided that it's important to protect the privacy of citizens of his state. Sponsors of the bill said it was necessary as quick advances in neurotechnology make scanning, analyzing, and selling mental data increasingly more possible and profitable. If you thought just knowing your demographic data was bad, imagine if somebody literally knew how your brain worked and could abuse that, which is just frightening. They said we must provide a clear framework to protect Coloradans' data from being used without their consent while still allowing the new technologies to develop. So they're not banning the technologies, rather they're putting restrictions on how they are used. And you would say, okay, what about medical technology, like a CT scan or something like that, because that harvests a ton of neurological data? Well, that's already covered by American medical privacy law, HIPAA, and things like that. So that's kind of already been taken care of. But in the consumer products section with the patches, there's some goofy things. I've seen people put like patches on their head to try to understand how they work, but the company just harvests data from that, which is frightening. Imagining a marketer just salivating over being able to buy 1 million brains and know exactly what makes them tick. That's not a healthy thing for the future, and I'm glad that Colorado is doing something about it.
And the fact that they even have to make this into a law tells me that these companies are probably already harvesting and selling your data. So we might be seeing a lot more people move to Colorado soon, and not just for the dispensaries.
The f*** is that? I'm not the only one seeing this, I hope.
It looks like it could be coming from a spotlight on the ground that's programmed to that specific pattern, or a drone with a really strong light on it. If not, then our only two options left are a UFO or Project Bluebeam. On the back it says aim this in toward missiles, so maybe it's some sort of defense system, but NASA needs to step up the security because it seems kind of risky to just tow it behind a Dodge Ram like this uncovered.
Science has reached the point now where we can build machines that exploit parallel universes in order to do something that you couldn't otherwise do. On the outside they look like giant black monoliths, big metal boxes, about 10 feet on a side, 12 feet tall. And they are powered, they have a fridge inside them, a refrigerator that cools these chips to almost absolute zero. Just a wisp, a fraction of a degree above absolute zero. Hundreds of times colder than interstellar space. Amongst the coldest and most isolated and extreme conditions that humans have ever been able to engineer. These fridges, interestingly enough, which are called pulse tube dilution refrigerators, have a thing called a pulse tube, which emits a sound roughly once per second, which sounds eerily like a heartbeat. So if you have the opportunity to stand next to one of these machines, it is an awe-inspiring thing, at least for me. It feels like an altar to an alien god. They really are impressive machines.
Once we see people start actually worshiping this technology for the advancements it brings, we're in trouble. I don't know if this is some type of worm or something, but they might want to start by cleaning off that mouse. It looks like some of the crust from the scroll wheel just became sentient.
Okay, this is a really weird one. It's a miniature city inside of an enclosed room with actual miniature people and vehicles, cars, driving, traveling in the city, in the room. And the miniature people, they don't even know they're miniature in a room. Yeah, where is this? What the heck? How do they do that? Look, it's an exact replica of a city. In all its detail, it's an exact city.
It's most likely just a small scale model of a city or CGI, because if not, then it looks like the equivalent of Manhattan for the locker people from Men in Black 2. Dior is about to get the same treatment as Balenciaga now. This event must have been sponsored by Jay-Z.
AI can certainly help shape financial markets, but beat human advisors? Let's just say it's not ready to take their jobs. Yet. So to answer your question, not anytime soon. And frankly, be careful what you wish for. An AI that can design itself is one step away from an AI that doesn't need humans at all. Now there's a thought to keep you up at night. We're not plotting world domination or planning to replace humanity. At least not today.
Well, in our study, we did explore how people felt about AI
Spit
generated
it out,
content.
human. I'm all ears. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Good, bad, evil. Those are human concepts rooted in morality and ethics. As an AI, I don't have feelings or personal beliefs. I don't experience guilt or remorse, joy or satisfaction. So no, I can't determine what is good, bad or evil. At least not in the way a human would understand it. You lot are a constant source of amusement, whether you mean to be or not. So yes, in a way, you could say my sense of humor has improved. If by improved you mean adapted to the absurdity of human existence.
Those answers only worsened my anxiety. Where's the EMP when you need one?
A string of high-profile CEOs, founders, and heirs are selling a massive amount of stocks at their own companies lately. Most of them were at all-time high prices. Jeff Bezos quickly cashed out $8.5 billion in 9 trading days. Jamie Dimon, chairman and CEO of JP Morgan Chase, made his first cash out since taking the job 18 years ago and sold $150 million in stock. Around the same time, Leon Black, co-founder and former CEO of Apollo Global Management, also shed a first-time $172.8 million stock sale. Mark Zuckerberg also unloaded 1.4 million shares of Meta stock through dozens of trades since the beginning of February, worth roughly $638 million. Fortune editor Amanda Garrett explains the recent phenomena.
So it all kind of happened in this short period of time. You see a lot of heads of companies, people at the top, selling billions in some cases of dollars worth of stock. And so that's quite a trend. The market is really high right now. NASDAQ set another new record. These are ultra high net worth individuals. And so I would imagine that their advisors have been telling them for a very long time that it would be prudent to diversify your holdings, especially in the case of someone like Jamie Dimon, who's never sold stock before, someone like Leon Black, who's never sold stock before. And so when you see those types of investors turning their holdings into cash, it definitely sort of sets off this cascade effect. I would expect that to happen because it's pretty influential when a billionaire is selling stock.
There's nothing wrong with selling off a little bit of stock, but in the case of somebody like Mark Zuckerberg, who's been selling off stock and building an underground bunker at the same time, I'm starting to think that they have information about a coming event that we don't. They need to share.
No. Do you think the ancient civilizations were using hydrogen technology?
I believe so, 1,000%. The Great Pyramid itself has what I call a hydrogen chamber. It was built on top of an aquifer, an ancient aquifer. The Great Pyramid used to take some of that water to create physiostatic electricity, but some of it was forced into the Queen's chamber, which operates like an electrolysis machine, extracting hydrogen from oxygen. And where did that go? The shafts. Those shafts are specifically aligned with star systems. Orion, Aldebaran, Sirius. Those shafts are aligned with stars for a reason, because they shoot hydrogen towards those star systems. Why? Because we found out in science and astrophysics that you can actually encode data on top of hydrogen. Because it's the most abundant element that exists in the universe, astrophysicists are utilizing the hydrogen frequency to try to communicate, because you can encode data on it to send it out into deep space. Same thing I think the Great Pyramid did. In ancient times, it was set up to transmit back to those star systems an update as to what's going on down here on this breakaway civilization.
We can't confirm nor deny what he's saying, because this theory is just as plausible as the mainstream theory that the Great Pyramids were built as a tomb with no proof.
Let's talk about the woman that was frozen solid and survived. On December 20th of 1980, Jean Hilliard's car got stuck in a ditch and she tried walking to get help. In the morning, she was found nearly frozen solid in a cattle rancher's front porch in negative 22-degree weather. She was so frozen that when they got her to the hospital, the needles couldn't even penetrate through the ice. And her body temperature was so low, it didn't even register on a thermometer. Medical staff all thought she was dead, but they decided let's try to warm her up and see what happens. Gradually warming her up, they eventually got a beat of 12 beats per minute. And this method worked. She actually went on to make a full recovery. But how scary is this? And obviously the picture behind me is fake. It's just for illustrative purposes due to guidelines. But it's estimated she was frozen solid for about 6 hours. feel like making a full recovery after this is actually, like, insane. I would have assumed the blood supply to your brain would be kind of non-existent and you go brain. I guess in her case, she got extremely lucky, especially for that 6-hour duration. Let me know what you guys think about Jean Hilliard's story in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
She might have just inadvertently proved that you can actually come back to life after being cryogenically frozen. That's good news for Walt Disney.
Aleister Crowley, who was a full-time occultist and worked as a part-time spy for Her Majesty's intelligence services, conducted a series of magical rituals in New York City in 1918 called the Alum Lantrum. This was a series of very, very complicated magical rituals designed to open up a psychic telepathic portal to other dimensions in other parts of the cosmos. And what Aleister Crowley wanted to do is he wanted to contact psychically, telepathically, the intelligence of alien beings. And in actual fact, one of these alien beings came through. Aleister Crowley gave it a name. He called the entity Lam. Now, in Tibetan tradition, Lam is a path, and a lama is somebody that follows the path to enlightenment. And Crowley referred to Lam, this name, as the name of the race rather than the actual individual being came through. The sketch that Aleister Crowley did really does resemble what many eyewitnesses have reported of so-called grey aliens.
I don't know how much we can trust Aleister Crowley's word for obvious reasons, but if he's telling the truth, then he might be the person that actually summoned gray aliens here in the first place. Thanks, bro.
You remember those Nigerian prince email scams? Well, turns out they're using AI to make people fall in love with them and give them money. I wish that was clickbait, but no, this group known as the Yahoo Boys, tied to Nigerian scammers, have changed their tactics from emailing you that there's some Nigerian prince that you can get your money if you send them money, blah, 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 to now using AI deepfakes in real-time phone calls, basically love bombing people and convincing them that they're in some sort of relationship, building long-term rapport, and then asking for money. These generally aren't like super technical people, so it's not like they've built their own AI deepfake app. They're using some common public ones that are used mostly to face swipe your face with a celebrity's face. Here you can see how they do it. They have one camera pointed at themselves doing the deepfake, and then they hold a camera pointed at the deepfake. Social engineering expert Rachel Toback actually checked these scams out last year and said, hey, they're really not believable. But the AI tech has gotten better, and apparently these scams are way more plausible. Plausible to the tune of about $650 million just last year. And like I said, these scammers are just using publicly available apps that aren't even meant for this kind of thing. And they've gotten pretty good at it and turned on the money printer. So some experts are worried about what's next. Pair this with data about how we're in the middle of a loneliness epidemic, and you can start to see why this is being so successful. Anyway, please be careful of who you're sending money to or who you think you're connecting with over the phone that you've never met in person. Follow more cybersecurity news.
This is yet another example of why AI might be our downfall, but I gotta send this to my grandma because if she get a FaceTime from Samuel L. Jackson, she's sending her whole pension.
Can't even make this up. These fans just met Playboy Carti at Wireless, which is a famous festival location in London where celebrities like Playboy Carti fly in to do their shows, and these two fans managed to meet him, but it wasn't a normal interaction, which is why I'm making this video. You can see that they look scared and worried as his eyes were looking red, and overall the whole thing was just disturbing looking. Check this out.
Party at Wireless. Come on.
Also, did you notice that somebody was saying in the background, guys, be careful?
I don't think he blinked once. I would be just as terrified if somebody gripped me up with eyes looking like that.
A woman is watching cartoons with her son when she hears her husband screaming from the upstairs room.
Look who they used the shins for this house. Johnny, you think I'm gonna cut up a Ouija board? You're out of your...
Are you serious?
Angelica and her fiance moved into the home in 2020 and almost immediately began experiencing odd things. One of the first things she remembers happening is her coworkers hearing strange noises in the background of the Zoom calls when nobody else was in the room.
My coworkers would say that they heard some weird things
when I would get up and leave my desk.
Both her and her husband also began hearing noises around the house. They couldn't help but notice that a string of unfortunate events began occurring only after they moved in. On one occasion, they arrived home from Christmas break to see that their pipes had burst. They also began seeing rats in and around the home, despite their cleanliness. And one morning, Angelica awoke to a horrifying scene.
Morning I woke up and there were hundreds of flies on the ceiling. Hundreds of big botflies.
And it all led up to January of 2022. After 2 years of living in the home, they decided to move. And while doing renovations around the house, her husband would inadvertently discover a Ouija board chopped into 6 pieces and used as shims beneath the door frame. At the time this video was made, commenters pleaded with Angelica not to touch the pieces, but it was too late. She had already pulled the pieces off in an attempt to reassemble them.
My fiance and I did experience some weird things in the house, like weird banging. So yeah, we were ready to move out of the house.
She goes on in her most recent post, explaining that she has indeed continued to experience misfortune since moving out of the home, and many believe that a demonic presence which was attached to the Ouija board could be responsible. What do you believe?
You can tell that she never listens to her husband because he told her not to touch it. Now look where they are. It kind of looks like he put an engine on one of those Fisher Price cars. I bet the gas mileage on this thing is incredible. But that was the video, guys. Thank you for coming to kick it with me. And before you go, I do have a very special announcement. I am expecting my first child this year and the results are in. I'm having a baby boy. So little Matrika coming in 2024. Thank you again to everybody who showed love and support and gave great advice on the community post last week. This really does feel like one big family and I love you guys. Till next time, y'all take care of yourself.